broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hola, belters, dusters, earthers, to another amazing AfterBuzz TV after show of your favorite show, The Expanse. And I'm Sean Overman, and you guys can find me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm joined here by my awesome and lovely co-host as usual.
Hey guys, I'm Maria Cavassuto. You can find me on Twitter at MGCVSST. Sorry for the voice, it's crapping out.
And we have a very special guest in studio. He plays Alex on The Expanse.
How you doing?
It's Cas Anvar.
What's the good word, y'all?
And we're loving it. Your accent on the show is phenomenal. I love like his dialect, his vocabulary, Haas.
Yeah. I had a little help with that. I have a few very close friends of mine who are of Texas descent, so we work on making it not too overt and blatant and yeehaw, but a little more natural, subdued. So I'm glad you approve.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's great.
It's subtle, but it's like it has that touch where it's like that sounds like Western talk right there, right?
Yeah.
Like it's from the Old West.
I think it's supposed to be one of like the kind of accents that's from the region where technically your character's from, right? It's something that you pick up.
That's
or
right.
That they've picked up.
Well, the Martians in this world of The Expanse, the creators, basically James S.A. Corey, who is collectively Ty Frank and Daniel Abram, they tried to figure out who would the Martians be? Who would be the people that ended up on Mars? Who are those people who take that one-way ticket the very first time before it was colonized, give up their lives on Earth, never going to see another sunrise, never going to have an atmosphere around them? What kind of people would do that and basically go to Mars to die? And they decided the people that in our world are kind of doing this, blazing the paths, are the Asians, the East Indians, Pakistanis, and the Texans. Those are the people who pioneered and carved out niches and created new worlds. Wherever they go, they create an environment. Obviously, the Texans were the pioneers in the west of the United States. They basically braved this new world and carved it out and created something, which was the United States, especially in the West. So Mars is a collective kind of conglomeration of those cultures. And Alex is from the Mariner Valley, which is that giant rift, and that's where the Texans settled. And so he's a mixture. He's a mutt kind of that particular mix of ethnicities, Texas being a big part of it.
Yeah.
Super cool. I'm down with this. They mentioned Mariner Valley in the two episodes tonight a couple of times. So we're going to be talking about the Big Empty and Remember the Can't. We're going to talk about the Big Empty first. We don't have that much time, so we're kind of going to pack a lot in here.
Let's do it.
But let's talk about you, Alex, piloting through the debris field of the Can't.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. That was a scary moment for. I mean, even shooting it on set. They. I mean, I don't know if you remember all the sparks that were flying and all that.
Yeah.
That was all real. That was all. They have these special effect things where they've got these people with grinders and steel, and you're basically doing the scenes, and you're seeing these walls of sparks just splattering all around you, and the cameras are shaking, everything's going, and the director's yelling boom, crash, lurch, and things like that. And so that was a scary moment because basically our ship got nuked.
Yeah.
And obviously there's going to be some consequences to that in terms of the debris that is hurled outwards at an incredible velocity, and our poor little ship, the Knight, which is already a leaky lifeboat.
It's like a shuttlecraft.
Well, it's a 200-year-old shuttlecraft with spare parts and leaky pipes, and it is not equipped to handle supersonic pieces of shrapnel. flying at it.
Definitely not, and that's something that we learn at some point because they had to go out of the ship to fix it as well. The antenna's just kind of like broke, and there's just, I mean, it almost felt like they weren't gonna make it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was scary.
It was pretty tense.
Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of felt I wasn't gonna make it in that suit.
Yeah, so did we. So did we. We were like, we were rooting for Alex, man.
Those suits, man.
Those suits. Tell us about the suits, the pure clean suits.
The pure and clean suits are great. It's the space suits. Those are legit, man. Those are like impermeable polyurethane. The helmets weigh about 15-20 pounds, and you can't really hear much. And in order to get air in there, they have air circulators on the back of our backpacks.
So not only did Alex have a problem with breathing, but you had a problem with breathing.
I had a particularly big problem breathing because I had to puke in that scene.
That was very graphic.
The puke that they decided to give me was soup of the day from catering, which happened to have a lot of garlic in it.
Yummy! That sounds great.
The very first time I did it, they put too much in my mouth, and it hit the visor, and it rebounded back at my face, and so the whole visor and my face, everywhere blinded.
Wow.
And I had to have that in my beard the whole kind of 8-hour day. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a different kind of day, really, than what you'd expect.
So wait, so you just did one take with the puke?
No, the first take we overdid the puke.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't see my face because it was like literally covering the entire visor. So we had to do it about 3 or 4 times, and each time we had to take less and less so that it would show but not block my entire face, so you could see me die. Basically.
Yeah, right. And it would make sense too, because it's been several hours that you guys have been surviving out there. It's like you wouldn't have that full of a stomach, right?
Exactly.
I'm glad you know the specifics of vomit over here.
Yeah, no, he's got the space vomit down.
He does it. He does.
Yeah. So the hypoxia is going on, and then we have Shed being, an awesome guy. Not at first though.
He steps up.
Yeah, he stepped up.
He steps up, pulls it out at the last second. We all have to step up. That's the beauty about this ship. Once we lose our friends, man, we all have to do 150% or we die.
Yeah.
Like every single one of us has to perform in a way and realize our potential in a way that we have never had to do before. Holden, Naomi, myself, Shed, and Amos. Every single one of us is put to the challenge. And if we don't deliver, we all die. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And like most other shows and movies, when there's like a huge explosion from a gigantic ship, you don't really get to see the aftermath, which is any survivors out there got to deal with the debris. So you navigate through that really well.
Yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yeah, scary, but still good, like, and then there's the airlock. It's a mess. Like you guys have to vent to get out and repair the radio. So, while that's going on, you get the hypoxia going on. You start sharing the oxygen.
It's like every single thing that could possibly go wrong.
I was like waiting for them to what's it called when they do the compression of the decompressing, so that they can actually breathe normally.
Yeah. You were holding your breath.
I was so holding my breath
for us.
Oh,
thanks, darling.
Yes.
And Shed
don't waste the air.
Shed was almost gonna die, sacrificing his oxygen
look
for
at that.
you.
The guy who was like the Chicken Little of the bunch is actually the hero.
Yeah,
that was a beautiful moment. I like that.
I don't think anybody expects very much of him, and he really stepped up. It was nice to see.
Up. That's why I give him that big hug at the end and call him a crazy son of a bitch.
It's great.
He saved my life.
It's great. So then we have they realize that the radio's working now, but there's not enough bandwidth, or
we don't have enough juice.
There's not enough juice.
There's not enough power to broadcast a powerful enough signal.
Exactly. Yeah. So then they end up amplifying the signal with everything they have in there. They just
cannibalize the whole ship.
Cannibalize it, exactly.
It was all Naomi, putting that together, right?
Yeah,
she's brilliant.
Super smart.
Yeah, she's a brilliant belter.
Yeah, and they end up using also that one signal broadcaster that they found on the scopuli. Yeah, am I right?
Yeah, they cannibalize that as well.
Yeah, and that's where we get a big clue as the audience. We realize as well as them that is not a pirated thing. No. That it's MCRN technology. Yeah,
it's Martian Navy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Martian Congressional
Republican Navy.
Republic Navy. What?
Yeah, that's high tech. That's the top shelf shit.
Yeah, so there's so much going on. We get so many like nuggets of information throughout that episode, and it's leading us to think, oh, it's got to be Mars that's causing this war that wants this to happen.
That's pissing me off.
Yes, because
pissing
you're a
me off.
Martian.
Right, they would never do that. That's pissing me off. That's why me and Holden almost get into it when he's like saying, why wouldn't they? Because they can. And it's like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's an earther. He doesn't.
Yeah. So he ends up having an idea. Holden broadcasts a message that he hopes will go viral.
Which is a huge risk, too. I mean,
Huge risk, because then the Martian ship Doniger is probably going to hear it, right? And then Alex says, "Oh, it was in jamming range."
Yeah, we got jammers on that ship, man.
Yes.
The Martians and the Mars Navy, we have the best tech of the solar system. We are like the elite of elite when it comes to tech. So and obviously Alex worked for them, so he knows all of that. But that's what makes Holden great. Holden is always making these decisions impulsively, compulsively. He is a hothead, but he's got some kind of like innate instinct about things. Because if he hadn't made that broadcast, things would have ended very differently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and now because of that, and it's crazy because we get to see later on in episode 3 that that we get like even more information thrown at us. Like we have more people like on Earth leaking information to others. The Mars ambassador, we're going to talk about that more later.
So sneaky.
Yeah, but the Mars ambassador, he leaks information, and then Mars like does stuff that they're not supposed to do. But it also proves that they weren't the ones who attacked the Scopuli. They weren't the ones who attacked the Cant. Yeah. So it's crazy stuff.
Don't you love how smart Avasarala is?
Oh yeah.
oh,
She is so
and she's such a manipulator, too.
brilliant.
So brilliant.
It's amazing. She's like a master puppet master.
She's
It's
great.
Like, and that's one of her best friends too. That Mars ambassador.
Yes.
That's what really
De
got
Graaf,
me.
I
Yeah,
think was his name.
Frank
Yeah.
de Graaf. She totally threw him under the bus.
Yeah.
But for her Earth,
That's
which
Kenneth
was,
Welch, by the way, one of the best actors in Canada. He's our Laurence Olivier.
Oh,
Kenneth Welch. He's one of my idols. Yeah.
I really felt for him because he kind of lost everything. And even though they had been friends forever, and she was just willing to kind of backstab him, really.
Earth must come first.
Earth must come first, and that's her thing. That's her prerogative. Make it survive.
Thousands of years before Mars. In human years.
Yeah,
Right.
and she's feeling the threat because any colony that has ever existed in the history of humanity has always gotten big for its britches and wanted to rebel, has wanted to revolt, has wanted independence, and there's always a cost. Or pretty much always a cost. Canada is kind of one of those countries that kind of got its independence without shedding blood, and there's a few others. But
You guys are so nice in Canada.
we're nice. We're nice. But for
You're
the
the
most
best
part,
neighbors ever.
But for the most part, colonies get resentful and they get bitter and they get hostile towards their parent. And she knows history, so she's waiting for it, and she's going to protect her blue marble.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah, speaking of Avasarala, am I saying that right?
Avasarala.
Avasarala. Okay. So speaking of her, we get to see her actually. We actually get a backhand, from the undersecretary towards her. Is that who it is? The undersecretary.
Yeah.
So he gives her a little slap on the wrist, and he's like, "Hey, you can't be using a hook interrogation on an OPA terrorist
No,
suspect."
she's probably someone who would have voted for Guantanamo.
Yes.
So it's like whatever it takes, man.
Yeah,
She has
whatever.
no boundaries. She has no
She's so fierce.
walls. I mean, she's just fierce. She'll do whatever it takes.
Anything it takes to keep Earth safe.
And that's her strength and her weakness.
Exactly.
I wonder when we'll see that as a weakness, though, because so far I feel like it's really been a strength and worked in her favor. At some point, I feel like it's going to crack.
Something's going to give.
Something's going to give.
That's so funny that you say crack, because she was eating something, and I don't know if you know the behind the scenes stuff or even like the little nuggets that I haven't really mentioned yet, but Avasarala, she eats pistachios.
That's right.
And I
Did
saw
you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
It was just a little thing.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? What's that pouch? And I was looking through the behind the scenes stuff, and apparently she eats pistachios, and it's her last vice.
Yeah.
So other than that, she has no vices, which is like,
She doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. Well, actually, no, she drinks.
She drinks wine.
She drinks like a sailor, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she does drink. And she curses.
Which I wonder why that's such a vice. Like, why are pistachios so bad? It's like too high fat content for the future? What's going
That's a
on?
good
But
question.
nuts are good for
Why
you,
is it
right?
advice?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, we think they're good for us, but 200 years in the future,
Maybe.
what's Earth going to think, right?
Yeah.
I think it might be her indulgence. It might be her indulgence because when you're in space, I mean, Earth has things, but when you're in space, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's no wood in space.
No.
Like I was actually on set in the second episode. I don't know if you noticed I was chewing on a toothpick when I was flying the night, and I said, you know what, props, can I get a toothpick? Because I kind of just feel like because it's not crazy now. Everything's relaxed. I want to kind of be chill. And I think Alex flies with a toothpick. He listens to music.
Yeah.
He flies
Yeah.
with a toothpick. And the props guy comes up and he goes, I can't. I'm like, why not? He goes, because there's no wood in space. It's like a rare commodity. And I'm like, dag nabbit, can I have something? He goes,
Give me something,
He
come
goes,
on.
he goes, hold on a second. He goes back and he finds these plastic toothpicks that
Okay.
were real. Like they're really plastic for cleaning your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I can give you a plastic one. I said, give it to me.
Take it.
So I'm chewing
I'll
on
take it. It's all
I'm chewing
good.
on a plastic toothpick during that scene before all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
But that's how real it is in this show is
Attention to detail.
We don't have artificial gravity. We don't have faster than light travel. And when we do travel, we're going so freaking fast that under normal circumstances, you will die from the G-forces that are being put on your body. Your brain will stroke out, your lungs will collapse, you'll crack ribs, your heart will explode, you'll pass out, you'll vomit. So we had to invent this cocktail called juice.
It's the thing that, yeah.
That goes into your neck when,
Right.
Yeah,
when you
it's-
prepare for
it's-
the turn and burn.
It's steroids, adrenaline, endorphins, blood thinners, all sorts of chemicals that they put into you to keep you awake and alive during a high G burn. And that's literally what you would have to do, something of that nature, in order to travel at those speeds without dying.
Now we know what the cocktail is that's
There
in
you go.
there.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you.
tell anyone because we're trying to patent it.
But I like it, though, that I feel like it does seem real, even though there's obviously a lot of things that have not even been invented and seem kind of far-fetched, but it's still very believable and it's very tangible. So I love that about the
They
show.
were really hard on that. The creators, Ty and Daniel, as well as Narain, our showrunner, and the rest of and every member head of a department, they're all focused on, like, can we do this? Would this be really how it would work? Is that how it would work? And even the spacesuits that you see us in are based on prototypes that NASA is developing. There were some photos we saw of the real spacesuits, and they're skin tight, and they're all sorts of tubing and things like that wrapping around. But it really looked like the spacesuits that we ended up wearing. So as opposed to those huge, big moon suits
The
that
moon
you see
man.
from the old days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something more modern.
Pure and Clean has got it then.
Pure and Clean is on the ball.
So let's talk about Miller really quickly. So he's still in search for Julie in episode 2, and he gets access with such cool technology. By the way, I love the technology in the show.
Yeah.
His little mini tablet. That's what I'm gonna call them now, not iPhones.
Yeah.
His mini tablet can access anybody's quarters. Right?
Because he's a police officer.
Because he's a police
Yeah.
officer. He's with Security Helix,
Yeah,
Star
Star
Helix.
Helix.
Star Helix. He has
Yes.
override protocols.
Yeah,
Not
that-
everyone could do that.
That's right. And not only that, but he can also imitate people's voices.
That was killer.
Right. Yeah.
Loved
Super
it.
awesome. And he gains access to everything in her place. He plays back her messages. He sees her father. He sees a hanging G suit which says Razorback on it. So that's probably the name of the ship.
Right.
He can't find it. Instead, he finds the scopuli. He talks to the attendant over at the docking bay, right? And then from there, he finds out that she's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she can throw down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she can throw down, which makes me
Don't
think.
mess with Julie.
No, which makes me think like she's not dead yet. She has to be alive still. She's detained by somebody.
This guy
We don't know.
notices everything. He's like a little shark. You are a detective. That's good.
Oh, thanks, Cas.
No, it's good. There's a lot of details in the show,
Yeah.
and you're catching a lot of them.
Tons of details. Fast forwarding a little bit.
Question for you. Here's a test.
Go
Here's a
ahead.
test.
Go
Because a
ahead.
lot of people talk about this. The Sparrow. What do you got to say about the Sparrow?
It's in low G on the
There you go.
planet.
This is it.
Yeah,
There's
there
a lot
you
of people
go.
going, that's not how a bird flies. What's
No,
it going
but
on?
yeah, that's what
because
we were
they're
talking
inside Ceres. They're in an asteroid, which is spin gravity.
Exactly.
And so it's low G, and it's not the same as Earth. So it's a much different sort of environment for a bird to fly in.
But all the
kids,
humans are already like used to it.
they're used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're extending more because there's less gravity, so they're getting longer bones. They're growing taller.
And their
Right.
muscles are not quite as well formed, so they're weaker, which is why they had the torture on
Yeah, the
Earth.
gravity one.
Is basically just gravity torture.
Yeah, exactly.
That must be really painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids though, they had a huge ball that had the Sparrow, and I was like, okay, this has got to be like an ultra heavy ball.
You're like, are they working their muscles or what are they doing?
Yeah, to work their muscles out
Exactly.
more, right? Because they don't get to do that very often. A little tidbit, another behind the scenes thing that I saw on the Syfy app was when Miller's doing that investigation with the pipes, right? And they're trying to find out where the water's going.
Right.
They actually were not moving an elevator; they were just moving the wall behind them.
That's right. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, they were standing still, and this wall was a curtain of piping that was on a cyclical kind of arc, and so they would just go and they would shake the platform that they're on, so it would look like it's starting and stopping, and that's how they made this long descent, because they just had an endless supply of piping curtain.
Right.
You guys, you're spoiling all this stuff for me. I just
man.
believe it so well.
After show.
Yes, after show.
Did you notice what's known as the Coriolis effect? When they poured the liquid inside.
Yes, I saw that when he was pouring it. Yes,
it's all real science. This is one thing that Ty and Daniel were like adamant about, trying to make sure everything was real. When you're inside a spinning ball, gravity doesn't work the exact same way as there's a kind of they call it a Coriolis effect.
That's the thing with flushing the toilet, right?
Kind of, yeah. It is related to that, and you notice it pulls on you differently, but you really notice it when you're pouring liquids. And so they tried to get a couple of those shots into the show,
which was really cool.
It goes like this into the thing.
Goes slightly sideways.
It goes like
So I didn't
if you're
think
pouring a bottle, you got to put your cup a little bit sideways.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Coriolis effect. I was thinking,
or maybe it's not the right word, but
well,
I think
it was.
that's what it is.
No, but I was thinking smart liquid. The series
Smart liquid.
200 years in the future.
Nanobots.
They got smart.
They
got
got
smart
it.
liquids now. You can just pour it from like a foot
exactly where to
away. Yeah, he's got a smart glass
exactly
too.
where to go.
Just goes right in there. But we get to see him deal with the gutter thugs, Miller, and again we get to see him bust some balls, and then he softens up and he lets them go. He's like, whatever, you punks, like, you're not worth it. I know you guys are just trying to get by. I'm not going to deal with you.
Well, he's just been he's been harassed a couple of times by that protesting belter, that who calls him
Well,
traitor to your people. So
Yeah.
he's been thinking a lot about that, and even the Havelock challenging him, taking the bribe on the air filter guy, and then he has to deal with those kids that were almost suffocated
Yeah,
because of the air filters, and he's been dealing with a lot of emotional stuff up to that point. So that might have something to do with
Careful, the Coriolis effect doesn't
the
work.
Coriolis effect doesn't work here. We're gonna
Almost
get
knocked
all
over the water.
electrocuted.
Let's jump into episode 3. We're running short on time. We want to talk
Boom,
about
let's
it.
do it.
But you know what? We're just gonna go through everything that we can. So Holden, they get him and his crew, and you, Alex. We get. You guys get captured by the Mars Congressional Republican Navy.
By the flagship of the Mars Navy, the
Donnager.
That is a badass ship.
Yeah, it
That's
looks
the
cool.
ship.
They have the
That's
most.
the Titanic of space.
You guys have on that ship. The Martians have the most high-tech equipment. Tasers are awesome. The suits are amazing. They just touch, and it looks like the suit is just a blank canvas. But then when they touch it, it's like they know where to touch.
Yeah.
And it's the radio or whatever.
Yeah,
it is, right?
it's all smart fabric.
Yeah.
Which is all based on real science. That all exists in kind of like very high-tech military
Not
environments.
for retail, but for very hard.
No, you can't get it. Not at Best Buy yet,
Not yet.
but in next year maybe.
But the drones are everywhere though. We got those all over Ceres, and we got drones now flying all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
too.
you can get those for Christmas if you want.
Yeah.
You get it for $100.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
less.
Those are for sure there.
But the coolest technology, I think, is the hyper psychic pills that the one Martian guy was taking.
Yeah, that's Greg. That's the that's Lopez is the character's name. We had a good time with our little Hispanic white guy. Yeah. We used to make fun of him calling him Lopez, but that was his name, and he was the lead Martian in the military side of it. Obviously, the woman, I can't remember her name, the captain.
Grimes.
No, not Grimes.
Not Grimes.
The Korean woman who was the captain of the ship.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
totally didn't get her name. They just referred to her as captain.
She's
She
the
was the captain,
Yeah.
and then Lopez is the guy who took the drug.
Right. Is he like the second in command?
Yeah, he's the second in command. He's a brilliant actor too. Greg Brick, a wonderful actor. He's also in Bitten.
That show.
Werewolf movie.
Another sci-fi.
He's a terrific
thing,
Canadian actor out of Toronto.
He actually reminds me of in Chronicles of Riddick, one of the necromongers. Just the way he looks, he's very like pale and very.
Maybe it is.
Maybe
because they shot that in Canada.
I mean, just saying, there's a little crossover. No, very far-fetched.
You know, there's a lot of crossover. I know it's like so many Canadian actors that were in Hemlock Grove are also in this show as well. Like there's this one guy who's on Star Helix Security, and he was one of the main antagonists in season 2 of Hemlock Grove.
Well, yeah, they shot that in the same studio.
Oh, there you go.
We were passing the Hemlock people all the time.
That's so funny.
Like, hey guys, we need someone over here. You haven't one to send us. Just,
hey, toss us one of your
this guy,
vampires or
please.
whatever.
That's great.
Absolutely. But yeah, that drug is a human lie detector drug. Is what it is. Is it augments all of the person's senses so that he can spot, you know, pulse points and sweat points, and he can smell, he can hear variations.
Yeah, his pupil dilated.
every single one of his senses gets heightened, and he becomes a human lie detector.
Okay.
That's super cool.
I don't know if we're going to be able to know anything about this, but when Naomi, like, she does like a sign with her hand.
Which you also see Thomas Jane do.
Okay.
Miller does that
I was
as
like,
well.
what is that?
And you also see the Belter protester do it.
Oh, yeah. Every time he like gets down. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a something with the 3 or like a
It's a circle,
circle.
and basically it's the Belter FU.
Oh, so
got
she's
it.
telling him "f you" as he's like interrogating her.
And he wants to see her
Go
hand.
Naomi.
It's basically like if someone has their arms crossed and they say, "Please uncross your arms," and you come out like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically what it is.
You go, girl. Just saying.
Oh, there you go.
She's badass.
Yeah, she's so badass.
So-
It's just funny. I think her and Amos have like some sort of
They got chemistry,
They got chem.
right?
They got history.
They got history.
Right. Just,
Yeah, there's lots of history.
Because he's got her back no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, he got you in a chokehold kind of thing going on, and he's like, don't worry.
like there
I got
was
this.
nothing. Boom.
Yeah.
He's just like you
Zero
you
to-
accuse my girl. You watch out what happens.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Amos, man.
Yeah.
and you get
He's
taken
strong like bull. That guy.
strong like bull.
Strong like bull.
Yeah, he really is too. Wes Chatham, man, he is a
Big guy.
brick
Yeah.
muscle. He is so strong, so strong.
Yeah, he looks like it. He looks
And
like.
he's ex-military as well.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
Wow.
he is.
Well,
I think he's Navy actually.
when you came back on with that MCRN uniform, he was choking the hell out of you.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was. Got to watch out for those biceps too. His biceps were like massive.
You're
man.
like, bro, can you just like not flex as much? I can't.
Yeah,
like,
bro, you're flexing into my windpipe, bro.
I was just
back.
I was just suffocating last episode, and I'm suffocating again in your
Give me a
arms.
break. Like, come on.
He's a good guy. Though. He's a great guy though.
Yeah.
He's a pussycat. He's a teddy bear.
But you know, I just don't know what to think after all that happened. I'm like, is Naomi OPA or is Holden OP? I'm like, what is
Good
going
question.
on? I don't know if like Mars is trying to maybe like blackmail them against each other or what. But it's like there's a lot of stuff that I'm not getting too many hints yet that to know like what's going on. But it's crazy.
There's definitely a lot of clues in the in that episode when they were all, because Mars was doing some seriously good strategic kind of manipulation, where the way they separated them and interrogated them one at a time,
Super smart.
and then popped little doubts in everybody's head and then throws them all together so they rip
That's
each
what it
other
is.
up.
That's what it
That's
is.
classic military kind of intelligence protocol.
You're
Yeah.
right.
They
The
split
doubt,
them up,
The doubt.
brief them, put the doubt in, and then put them back together again and see what they do.
It's great.
But then at the same time, the one thing they said about Shed turned out to be true. So that's also another tactic that they use.
I love Shed.
Which I thought was hilarious because he's like, no, that's actually true. So then I'm thinking like, wait, what else did they say that's true?
Yeah.
Maybe everything? I don't,
Yeah.
So
sure.
then,
absolutely right.
who can we trust though? We could have Naomi being the OPA terrorist, which she is very, very disciplined at the interrogation. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing that gave away it was Holden was just her blinking,
Mm-hmm.
and that guy with his polygraph pill, he's able to detect that.
That polygraph pill, I like that.
We should call it
That's
that.
just patent it.
Yeah, we're gonna polygraph pill. That's good.
Yeah, but we're kind of running out of time here. I want to talk about you some more.
Sure, let's do it.
Cass. So what attracted you to this project to work on The Expanse?
Oh man, you guys are watching it. You can see this was apparent on the very first pilot episode when I read the script. I was shooting Olympus actually in Vancouver when this audition came. I have to shamefully say I never heard of the books before, even though I'm a huge science fiction lover and a geek. I had not cracked open one of James Corey's books yet. So when they sent it to me, it was just 3 pages of script and a description of the character, Alex Kamal. He is a Mars-born fighter pilot of Pakistani descent with a Texas accent.
You're like, where do I sign up?
And I'm like, sounds good to me. And put it on tape, sent it out. They loved what I did, so I got the offer. I didn't even know at that point what scope I was getting into. I just knew I loved the script. I loved the pilot because that's all I was given. And I love the character. I've never played a character like this. You know, it's a heroic character. It's a protagonist. He'd be cool, and he's like the fighter pilot. And his ethnicity has nothing to do with who he is. It's not about him being ethnic, and I love that. I've been waiting for something to sink my teeth into like that. And then we get to Toronto, and we've got all of a sudden 3 huge sound stages that are dedicated to this show. Each world. The Belter World of Series is one soundstage called Jumbo. Mm-hmm. They built the entire inside of that space station. And then we have the Rossi, which is another soundstage where all the spaceships are. And then we have Earth. And so we have 80,000 square feet of soundstage and 5 ships, and they're getting blown up one every week. We're blowing shit up.
And people are dying too.
And it's like nobody is safe in this environment. And so when we all got there, we went, holy crap, this thing is way bigger than any of us ever expected it to be. We are on something huge. We're about to embark on a roller coaster ride. We're about to go down the rabbit hole, and nobody knows how deep this is going to go. And we were so excited. Like, we were all 4 of us, my little crew. We were so psyched about it. So and we're now the horse is out of the gate now, and we're just going for the ride.
And it's amazing. I think I was like, people are comparing it to, and you mentioned this last time, Maria, like Game of Thrones in space.
Right. Yeah. Let's hope certain aspects of that aren't true.
Right, like the character killing.
Like the fact that everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead pretty much by the end of that season.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's a political show. Like it's politics in space kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and I mean, and here these are the things I'm so proud of this show. I mean, obviously it looks great. The special effects, Robert.
They're amazing.
Our special effects guy is brilliant.
Fantastic.
Robert Monroe, he's our special effects guy. He's done a miracle job. But our creative team is like, it's a dream team. I've never worked on a show with people like this. We've got Thomas Jane, Shohreh Aghdashloo,
oh yes,
the queen of cinema, Oscar noms and Emmy Awards and all that beautiful stuff. We've got Stephen Strait from Magic City. We've got Wes Chatham from Hunger Games. We've got Dominic Tipper. We've got Florence Favre from Following. And our guest stars, we've got Jonathan Banks and the gentleman Jared, I can't remember his name, the British actor who was in Sherlock Holmes. He played Moriarty with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Brilliant actor. He's going to be coming up in this series. We've got great, and Jay Hernandez playing.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know. I'm assuming he's dead. That broke my heart.
Wow. Was that not absolutely brutal?
I really
have you ever seen anything? I knew it was coming, and that shocked me.
It was so brutal, and I don't want to believe it, but I know.
Smokes.
It was
I'm
so
still hoping.
He got staked.
Which is terrible.
Hydraulically.
Yeah. Oh, it was
like, bam.
It's like
really bad.
It's like a
thing
giant
ever.
nail gun.
And that's something you would
Yes.
find in the series station because they're all pretty much construction workers.
They're all construction workers. And then we go to our production team. We've got the writers of Iron Man, Children of Men, Hawk Otsby and Mark Fergus. You got our showrunner, Narain Shankar from CSI, Farscape, Star Trek Next Generation. And then we've got the creators of The Expanse, Ty and Daniel, who are showrunners. They wrote episode 7, which is my big episode. And
we know you're sticking around until 7.
Oh, damn! What did I say?
Thanks for the tease.
Damn it. And but it's
we can't kill Alex off yet.
It's like a dozen people that are absolute like top shelf creators, and so it's a dream team. And to be working with that, and then you have Syfy Network, who is basically throwing their hat into the ring. Like, they are taking such huge risks, and they're delivering with this show. Like, this show is a controversial, intelligent show with 3 kick-ass females none of whom
yeah.
none of whom are white. Our 3 leads are not white.
You know, that's what I was going to say. In terms of like diversity, I think they're setting a standard, and I love it.
And
amazing.
none of them really are like revolving around a man. Like they're like Avasarala is a shark in a tank.
And
Super
Naomi
independent.
could kick any of those
She
guys'
can kick
butts.
anyone's ass, and
Just
Julie
saying.
Mao is her own thing, right?
Yeah.
And
She's
without
a survivor.
exactly. So I'm just so proud of Syfy for the risk it's taking and for the non-traditional casting and just really not whitewashing the show and just letting it be what it really is.
But I think it's so representative of what like our world is, you know?
Exactly.
It's just we're so multicultural, and I think it's just so necessary to have those kind of shows on TV. So I love what they're doing, and I think it's paying off because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So congrats to everyone that you just mentioned because it's really amazing.
That sound feels good.
In space, no one cares about your ethnicity. They only care if you're a duster, earther, or belter.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
200 years from now, we're all gonna be caramel. Come on. Let's face it. There's not gonna be white people are gonna be a minority in 200 years.
Finally
Everyone's
hear
gonna be
that.
mixed.
Oh man, so what projects have you got coming up? You just did Room earlier this year.
Yeah, so exciting.
How was that? Tell us about that experience.
I had 2 weeks off of Expanse and shooting in Toronto, and unknown to me, on the same floor as the Expanse in our production office was this little movie called Room that was pre-production. They're prepping for their show, and they were watching me walk back and forth. I'd stick my head in sometimes, and I'd make fun of them, and I'd tease them, and just because we're there for like 6 months or whatever. And my agent calls me up and says, "Hey, did you know there's a movie called Room shooting there?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And they're just offering you a role here because they've seen you and they need a role for a psychiatrist on it. And I'm like, "Who's in it?" And they said, Brie Larson, William H. Macy, and Joan Allen. I said, "Sign me up."
Wow.
I said, "What's the movie?" I said, "I didn't even have to read the script. You put those names out in front of me, and I'm like, let's do it."
Mm-hmm.
And so I had like half a dozen days, right in a break in the middle of winter in Toronto. It was a very humble, very very intimate movie. The director Lenny Abramson crafting this incredible work of art, and nobody knew. I didn't know we were making this incredible epic, earth-moving movie, which has just taken Hollywood and the world by storm. My parents saw it, and my parents are usually pretty critical of stuff that I'm in, unfortunately. And then my dad said, "This is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen."
Wow.
And that was really like, wow.
High praise from the parentals.
That means
You know
a lot.
you made it when your parents are giving you the praise of that sort.
So huge pride. I'm so privileged to be in the movie. I loved working with Brie and with Jacob the Kid, who I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated. He did such a good job. And William H. Macy and Joan Allen, amazing people. And Lenny Abramson, he was just a master creator. I think it's going to go all the way. We'll see.
I'm excited.
They've already got nominated for Golden Globes and
Yeah,
SAG Awards and all that
Awards.
stuff. So
Doing really well.
yeah, I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
So what other projects have you got going on for us?
I
to
just
look for?
finished an episode of this new series that hasn't hit the airs yet called Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. Gary
new
Sinise's new show. It's going to start in the new year. It's got a little edge to it. It's a little bit even darker, I think, than the original Criminal Minds. And I play a really cool Turkish FBI agent in it. So
Very neat.
I'm Gary Sinise's old roommate from the FBI dorms. And so that's a fun little thing going on. And there's a couple of projects still in the works right now that haven't come to fruition, but that's what we're looking at right now.
Oh, great. So are we looking for a second season of The Expanse?
We're all I can say is they've already started writing season 2.
Yes!
So season 2 is being written.
That's
so
amazing.
Hopefully we will have a big fat green light happening really soon. Woo! And I think it all depends on what's going on actually right this second as the world is watching episode 3 live. East Coast, West Coast. East Coast is just done, so West Coast is happening right now.
Yeah, you know what? That's fantastic because I love how there's those shows that start off with 8 episodes, 6 episodes, whatever, because they're kind of like testing the waters to see how the fans are going to react to it, how the audience is going to react. And then after that, it's just boom, boom, boom. Season after season comes out, and I'm excited for you.
Well, this
Cas.
is such an expensive show that it would be crazy to cancel it after season 1, but crazier things have been done, like canceling Firefly. But they have been writing since June. Apparently season 2 is looking spectacular. No one's shared anything with me yet. because they don't trust me. But it has been being done, and now we're waiting for these episodes to hit the airwaves and for people to respond and let Syfy know, like, season 2, we want you.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Syfy, we want season 2.
We want here at AfterBuzz TV and
We
all of
want
our
season
fans. We want season 2 and season 3 and 4 of The Expanse.
Thanks.
It's like, so get busy, keep writing.
Keep writing.
Maria, did you have any questions?
No, I'm so excited to have you here and to get to chat with you because you gave us so much wonderful insight on the show, a show that both Sean and I are like obsessed about and love.
Oh, that's really sweet.
So I thank you. I can't say thank you enough, honestly.
My pleasure.
I had a couple more questions before
man.
we wrap up. Who did you enjoy working with the most on The Expanse?
The most? It's interesting because the way, I mean, there's 3 separate worlds, so we had very little contact with Thomas Jane. He had his own world. Shore Agdashlu, her own world. We didn't get any contact with her. And so I'm working with my little crew there, Wes and Dominique and Steven. So we became a family, the 4 of us, and Shed for a period of time until unfortunate things happened. But the family that we created was kind of like something we would go out and have drinks, we'd go eat, we'd rehearse all together on a Sunday afternoon.
Super fun.
Really fun. Like that's where we did most of our great work, was together on a Sunday. We would spend 3 or 4 hours together, and we'd all bring snacks and drinks and just hammer through the script and talk and fight and argue and all stuff like that. I made really good friends with Shore. Her and I bonded really well. Even though we didn't get to work together. And then we spent a few days with Thomas, and he was a really interesting guy to work with. He's an incredibly creative and talented artist.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Very different than any of the rest of us.
I
He had
love his
own
haircut,
process.
too.
And he's got a great haircut. Yeah.
It's
As they say, a haircut only a mother can love.
it's out there.
What have you learned from working on The Expanse so far? Like, what's like a lesson that you can take away from this show that you can blast out there?
I mean, just practically, I learned a lot of science that I didn't know before. Just in terms of the practical kind of lesson, the moral lesson you get from this show is how, no matter how much things change, human beings remain the same. You go back 100 years, you go back 1,000 years, you go forward 300 years. We've managed to solve all the problems of planet Earth. We've gotten rid of poverty, we've gotten rid of disease, we've advanced our tech and our medicine. People are living to 150 years old on Earth. They've got Shangri-La, they've got paradise on Earth. And yet, now we've progressed into the solar system, and we're still about to blow each other up.
Yeah.
There's always a fight for power.
It's like, come on, humanity, get it right, for God's sakes. Like, when are you going to learn? Stop pushing further than you can handle. And I don't know. I don't know what the final answer is on that. I think that's what we're going to be exploring in the show, is why are we that way? Why do we constantly need more? Why is there always a more? Why is there always an us and a them? We got rid of racism. There's no racism in the show. There's planetism.
Yeah, planetism. I love it.
It's what kind of gravity did you grow up on? What kind of atmosphere did you have? Did you grow up in a spacesuit? Did you have a horizon? Did you have a sun over your head? You get to those are the privileged people. And
did you get steroids growing up to increase your
Exactly.
hormones?
Yeah,
Do you have a Belter bionic arm, or do you got a grown arm?
You got the one from the Martian gel. Yeah. So that it's like, no matter what problems we solve, we always create new things to create separation and classism. Yeah. That's something that I think is a very powerful message that's being said there. It's like, come on, humanity, grow up.
Super impactful.
Yeah.
That's a really good lesson to take away.
It just kind of goes to show how like humanity's just has been and might always be possibly just intolerant in some way, shape, or form.
Maybe that's why we keep pushing and growing and advancing. Maybe that's what makes us so powerful. But it's kind of harsh.
We're always competing. It's that like social Darwinism that we got going on within our species, and how we have like that imagination, and then we see the real world too, and so we're always like in conflict with those two things.
Like, will it really weaken us if we don't have an us and a them? Like, that's a good question to ask. Like, will we be less as a species if we don't have an us and a them? Something to fight against. You know, I always felt if we ever got invaded by aliens, if there was ever like a world kind of invasion, and the whole world would unite and become brothers and sisters to fight off the aliens, and that we would be incredibly strong and galvanized, because that would become the new them. And then as soon as that alien force would leave, we'd split up and fraction and become, fighting amongst ourselves again. We always have to have something to fight against.
Last question, Cas. What can you tease at us about the coming up episode? So episode 4 is already out there. We haven't seen it yet here on the show.
Okay.
What have you?
No,
Maria?
I have not.
Okay.
It's in the ether.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the
So, but coming up episodes 5 through 8, because that's all there is for this season. What can you tease at us? We don't want to get spoiled, but what can you?
more,
tease?
no?
5 to 10.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
5 to 10. I'm sorry.
we have 10 episodes.
Oh, 10 episodes. Fantastic. Even better.
Even more.
Yeah. So what can you tease at us? What's gonna happen potentially? Alex is obviously going to be around for a lot longer because he's so important.
And we know that episode 7 is going to be huge for him, according to Cas right here.
That's the James S.A. Corey episode. It's a lot of fun. I will say this much, is that the 3 separate worlds that exist in the opening episodes slowly start to converge. The three main storylines start to kind of get intertwined a little bit more. The mysteries and the forces behind what's causing all this friction, and why this seeming war is starting to happen, all these mysterious ships that are provoking things and making things look bad for everyone, that slowly will start to come to light. And the characters are going to be going on an epic roller coaster ride. Holden, Naomi, Amos, Alex, we all, Shora's character, Avasarala, and Thomas Jane's character, we all go on these incredible journeys because we are pushed to our limits to basically just to survive. So you're in for an incredible ride.
wow.
Kind of like one of those bulls in the saloons.
Very
Yeah.
Saddle Ranch.
There you
Very
go.
Saddle Ranchy.
Very sad.
There you go. Turn and burn, Haas.
Flip and burn, brother.
Burn.
All right. Well, let's do some quick predictions before we get out of here.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear you guys do some.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
With lights and everything. Very.
I'm getting scared.
Okay, Maria, go ahead.
Well, I was kind of toying with this idea back and forth because the people on Mars are confusing me so badly. But I don't think Naomi's going to be OPA, but I think Holden might be. I think that's what I'm
Yeah.
predicting. I'm probably so wrong, but that's just what I feel like, just because
He's too.
I feel like, yes, you get me, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this. You're like, you think Holden's OPA? And I was just like, yeah, I think Holden might be OPA. And I think we're going to see Avasarala, like I said, crack. There's going to be something that's going to show her weakness, because so far she's been very fierce, very strong. But it's either going to be something like family related, obviously something Earth related, because that's what she's protecting. But I think we're going to see some chinks in her armor very soon. And I don't know why Miller is so obsessed with finding Julie Mao. So I don't know why that is, but I think we're going to find out soon, because there has to be a reason. It can't just be money at this point.
No, he's not. He's not motivated by money anymore. Because he already got the bonus, right?
And it's not like an old lover or anything like that. I don't think, like, that doesn't make any sense. But there's got to be something there. I don't know what.
Yeah, I feel like he's just sees it as like a puzzle that he wants to solve, because everything else is just very trivial to him. Like, he doesn't want to lock up gutter thugs, water thieves. He just wants to let them go. I feel like Holden could potentially be the person who's inciting everything, but who is the OPA guy behind him? Because he can't be the lead guy. Is that one belter that we had Miller talking to the main OPA guy? I kind of feel like he could be.
I think he's too like weak for that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see him in that role at
He
all.
was very enigmatic. He was like throwing a lot of things around, so I think he was avoiding a lot of the questions.
What about that Anderson guy? The guy, I don't remember his last name now, but it's Anderson. The one that he talks to, he has a drink over, he asks him about Julie Mao.
That's what I'm
and
talking
his
about.
copyright.
Yeah, isn't he a belter? Or is he
Anderson Daw, I think.
Anderson, yeah.
Anderson? Okay.
No, is that
yeah,
who you meant?
yeah,
I thought
that's
you
who I
meant
was
someone
talking
else,
about.
but
No, that's what I was talking
sorry,
about.
okay,
Yeah.
That's
so
what I think.
I feel like he could be the OPA
I thought you meant the guy
leader.
who was yelling and inciting.
Oh, that guy,
Like,
the
that
crowd
guy. doesn't
guy.
See that.
No.
If you mean who I mean, yes, Anderson.
Yeah, I feel like this dude, Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like he's the puppeteer behind everything. He's controlling everything. He's setting up all the pieces to fall where they may. And Holden, why would he do that whole, oh, we got shot by Mars, the Donager, it destroyed the Cant. Why would he do that? He's inciting something. Everybody was telling him to stop. So those are the dominoes that are falling now.
It's his insurance. I mean, technically, but it's not right, because they weren't behind it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that would have caused some serious, like maybe a war or whatnot, unless they clear it up. So yeah, I don't understand why he would go through with it if everybody's like almost pointing, Amos pointing a gun to his head, being like, just give me the word, because like, so that's interesting.
Yeah, not everybody, all of our protagonists in the different like areas, I guess, like the people who are on the Martian ship now, they can't all be good. The Miller, he can't be the greatest guy, even though it looks like he's probably the best of the three. And then we got Christian Avarasala. Avasarala, sorry. She is obviously like, she's doing good from her perspective, but she's not the best person either. So I'm thinking Holden could do like a 180 on us, like the audience.
Lots of shades of gray.
Ooh, yes.
Lots of
I also
shades
think
of gray.
maybe Miller is going to try and find out who killed Havelock.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't know if he cares about it that much, but I mean, it might be something.
You know what? I want to throw out a prediction about Havelock too. I feel like Havelock could possibly live next time. Like even though he got staked to that wall, they have technology in the future.
They
right?
do.
We had a guy get his arm cut off in space, and he survived for a little bit before the camp blew up.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Right?
true.
He didn't bleed out in space. He got saved somehow. So
He might have to quit smoking.
yeah,
But,
you might have to. Do they smoke in space? I haven't seen anybody smoking.
I haven't seen any.
The only vice I see is alcohol. That's it.
That's Miller's favorite.
They do this little thing. They have scent oils. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
Shadid,
Yeah.
the
Captain.
the captain. That's a thing because they're living in space stations and everything's recycled and the air probably smells pretty foul. So they have these little machines, these diffusers. They put special spiced oils in there with different flavors, different scents. And
I can only imagine what the Medina smells like.
They created exactly right. They create an environment for themselves. That's in the books actually. I think it's kind of cool. It's just so subtly hinted at in the TV show, but it's there.
She does it like twice, and I was like, I wonder if it's in there.
Yeah, all the technology,
pie.
so cool. Like I know we're probably
Pretty
wrapping up right now. I can kind of hear the music creeping up on us. Is it? Oh, no? I thought I heard it.
I'm
I think you're having a little space happiness there.
Yeah, a little space.
You're going
Not
like
space.
spacey.
Not Clementine singing Space Madness. Hypoxia
Not
Madness.
hypoxia, no.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Where can we find everybody? Let's start with Maria.
Okay, guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MGCVSST.
And you can find me at Cas Anvar. Anywhere else is CASANVAR. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want.
Okay, very good, Cass. And you guys can find me at Sean Austin O. That's SeanAustino on Twitter and Instagram. And be sure to check out my book, City of Angels and Discontent, on the Amazon. And I want to say thank you so much to Cas Anvar, who plays Alex on the show, The Expanse.
My pleasure.
We loved having you here. So much
Thank
insight.
you so much.
Yeah, so much
it's a
great,
pleasure, man.
great conversation. And we hope to have you back
You
sometime
guys are
soon.
awesome. I can't believe how much you know more about this show than I do. You guys are so freaking perceptive, and I love your predictions.
Yeah.
And you guys are so like enthusiastic. It's just exciting.
Great.
Love
Well,
it.
thank you so
Love it.
much, guys.
Thank you, because we
Again.
love the show. So
My pleasure.
yes.
So,
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.